Do you want to make money as a coach, but don't know how? Are you curious if it's even possible to make money as a coach? Are you curious about how you do it, how you price yourself? How do you know if you are ready to charge for your coaching services? These are some of the things and more that we are going to dive into today on the Possibility Mom Live with my beautiful friend, my beautiful coach, and incredible co founder of Metanoia Catholic, Erin Ingold. That is what's coming at you today on the Possibility Mom Live. How to make money as a coach is the topic of conversation we are going to jump into today. I want this to be the kind of podcast that you can put in your back pocket, that you can download to your phone when you potentially have doubt. So, this is particularly for people who might be like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can make money. I've started this project and I have no idea. So, I want this to be the kind of podcast that you can download and save for later for moments when you feel some doubt and you just need a little reminder that it is entirely possible to do this. And I also want this to be a kind of podcast that you save if you're already an established coach and you need a little bit of encouragement on the journey. I am I consider myself blessed and lucky to have found a profession where truly I can sit and coach all day long. And yes, I might get tired at some point, but it is truly the thing I have found that I can do where I forget to eat, where I'll hold off going to the bathroom, where I just can truly, through the grace of God and through the fact that this satisfies a lot of my hard wiring, my temperament, my skills, my strengths. And so to make money at something that feels like not a lot of work is just to me such a blessing. And I think for many of you listening, there are people who are very curious about how you can do this yourself as well. So I'm so excited to bring you this podcast and to bring Erin Ingold on. Before we do that, I want to remind you that you still have time to join me inside of my free Break Your Cell Phone Addiction Challenge. There are over 2,000 women. I am honestly, as I say that out loud, I'm like, how did that happen? Over 2,000 women have raised their hand and said, I would like to have better habits, a better relationship with my cell phone. And so I want to encourage you, there is a link below this video or the show notes that you are listening to on your podcast platform where you can sign up. Even though we are a few days into Lent at time of recording, you are completely invited to journey with us throughout the rest of Lent. And what's been really fascinating to see inside of the group is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I really believe that we can become very fixated on, and throwing myself in the pool here too. I feel this way about my health a little bit. It's like, well, if I'm going to like give up alcohol or if I'm going to like give up whatever, like eat differently, I'm just going to fail at it anyways. So what's the point of even trying? Like, why does it have to be all or nothing? So that's been something so interesting to see. People are making these shifts around. I can improve in my relationship with my cell phone even just a little bit. And what are the fruits of improving in something even just a little bit? In my own life, oh my word, I was very vulnerable and I shared a very vulnerable story of my relationship with my phone and how it impacts bedtime with my young daughters. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I'm really embarrassed to say how much my cell phone was impacting bedtime. I would dread bedtime. My phone would come with me to do bedtime because I found it such an arduous process with these little girls. I feel incredibly guilty even now just saying that out loud. But as a result of my own cell phone challenge, I have left my phone. The absence of my phone is very felt during bedtime. And now it has become via changing my thoughts around bedtime rather than thinking this is a chore or this is boring or this is going on forever. I have chosen to no longer think those thoughts. And I now think this is a precious time. And the absence of my phone is further helping me to remember this is a precious time. You want to believe I'm showing up a little bit different to bedtime when I'm thinking the thought it's a precious time? 100% I am. So if you are feeling like your phone is having perhaps a negative impact on the way you behave, if you're finding that your phone is creating some tension in your marriage, or you're using your phone at every moment, like even when going to the bathroom because you cannot like get away from this thing, I want to encourage you, there's still time to show up and sign up. How did I come to this realization about my phone, and how was I able to shift my thoughts around it? Mindset coaching. When I learned this fact that the way I thought about bedtime was impacting my behavior, and I chose a very different thought that produced very, very different things. All of this is a result of my mindset coaching training. And I have the fortunate experience to go through this training at Metanoia Catholic with my dear friend Erin Ingold. Many of you are familiar with the lovely Erin. If you have been following me for a while, you know we are very dear friends and that I love her hair and I love many things about her. Welcome back to the Possibility Mom podcast, Erin Ingold. How are you today? You are still muted. Well, let's get you unmuted.
Just kidding.
Hi. Just kidding. I miss you so much. How are you?
I'm good. I know. When are you coming back?
For longtime listeners, you know that I, for the last 3 years, lived in Ave Maria, Florida, and now I am back in my home and native land of Canada. So, Erin, you get to miss me from afar. You get to just feel that absence makes the heart grow stronger, fonder.
That's so true.
Expression.
Good thing I'm a mindset coach. I can coach myself off the ledge here.
Erin, for anyone who might not be familiar with you and your epic, beautiful hair, can you please share a little bit about who you are?
Yes. My husband and I, we own a business called Metanoia Catholic, and we coach and train many Catholics, but also like the main thing that we do is we coach and train other Catholic coaches, people who want to coach in integrity with their faith, who want a foundational Catholic foundation of their coach training, but also join an amazing community here. And it's just so wonderful to be able to work with my husband to make money. Exactly what you were saying too before, when it's like, how is this that I get to do this thing that I love so much? And added benefit, I also get paid for it. And like, it's become my livelihood, my family's livelihood. In fact, we've hired 3 people and other people's families' livelihood on this. So it's just beautiful to see the Lord's abundance with this when you say yes to him. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
So on this podcast, on my podcast, the Possibly Mom Live, I have done several interviews with you where I've shared my story of how I came and found you. It's a really cute story. I saw you across the way at the local church, and nobody has hair in Ave Maria like Erin Ingold. And I was just like, she and I are meant to be friends. But what I'd love to share, or I'd love to invite you to share today, because I don't think many people know this aspect of your story, is how did you get into life coaching? Because I think this is a great story.
Well, we went through a program together, my husband and I, and as we were kind of going through it ourselves, it was one of those moments we both worked in ministry. We worked for the church, and we were kind of like, this would be fantastic for, Catholics. Really what we were finding, it was human formation, which in the Catholic Church, a lot of us could probably say there's a pretty big gap in human formation in the church. There's a lot of intellectual formation, a lot of spiritual formation, but we're kind of missing the mark there. And so we felt that gap, but the programs we were going through were, kind of like self-referencing, could be a little new agey. We were like, we probably can't, refer this to people, and without having to walk them through it and say like, yeah, toss this out, keep this, so on and so forth. So with a lot of prayer and deliberation, we both felt very peaceful about creating what this was. It felt like in the beginning, even just in my own prayer, feeling like it was a big undertaking, but everything that I've created since then has been out of necessity, I would say. Like it was a driving in my heart. Like I want to give this thing that I've received so much, that was kind of where the necessity was coming from. So from that point, we started to actually, interestingly enough, we started training coaches before we even created our academy, which is just open to any Catholic out there. Anybody who just wants to learn mindset skills and know that they're in integrity with the faith. It's an awesome community, so great. But really, our first coach training happened before that. So really fascinating to see how the Lord was always kind of working, like, we want you training coaches. We want you forming the formators, and just really giving what we've received. So that's where we went. I went to a secular coaching school. I have my background in theology from Franciscan University of Steubenville. So I kind of took those two loves and, as much as I could, combine them together. We've had a couple priests, a couple of people check out our program, make sure there's no heresy in it. So that's a plus.
Way for no heresy. But I'm really curious because I've shared very publicly my story of emerging as a Catholic coach and all the drama I had around that. I was afraid that I would lead people astray. I was like all kinds of imposter syndrome around, who do you think you are to call yourself a Catholic coach? How are you qualified? All the things. Did you have any of that similar drama? My perception is not really, but did you have any of it?
No, I think it's my, we're going to talk about temperaments here. So if you haven't heard about temperaments, I'll explain what it is. I think it's my phlegmatic side. I like things easy. So phlegmatics love things easy. So I did not want to have to jump through hoops to be able to help people. And I felt like if I couldn't involve Jesus, who is the one who actually changes people and transforms people, overtly, I just didn't want anything to do with it, if I was going to be honest. And it's totally from my laziness. Like, I was just like, it just feels like too much work. just, and also, because I wanted to help people, and I'm like, I just don't want to have to kind of move around and do these jump through hoops and flips and whatever, all the gymnastics that needs to happen, the mental gymnastics that needs to happen to avoid the one who actually changes us. So, right out of the gate, Matt and I went back and forth because he created a secular program for veterans. My husband's a veteran as well. And he was like, it came to a certain point, a crossroads, where it was like, yeah, I can't really help them if we don't involve Jesus in this. And he doesn't even sell that program anymore. And I told him the whole time, I was like, listen, it's going to be hard. Just saying. I was trying to bring him into my phlegmatic side.
Oh, so funny. What's funny about you is that I would not call you lazy at all. Like, at all. At all. No, I would not call you lazy at all. So I think that's really interesting. But what you bring up is a really important thing. And I really want to encourage anybody who perhaps is a Catholic themselves and has been coaching in, maybe let's just call it a secular way, or coaching not involving Jesus. I really just want to encourage people. We need secular coaches. Everybody hear me out. It's not like there's not value in that. But if you are a Catholic, I do want to encourage people to consider the freedom. Oh my word. The freedom. That's how I felt when I all of a sudden kind of realized, wait a minute, I can coach inviting Jesus into literally the problem. You have trained me. I've gone through your certification program, and in your program, you teach these different modalities, so to speak, or exercises where you literally follow Ignatian spirituality principles and you literally invite Jesus into a specific problem. The freedom I found when I could just truly be myself. I remember before, when I was coaching without Jesus, I'd always be like, oh, I just really want to pray right now. Or I just want to pause for a minute and actually invite the Holy Spirit and close my eyes and pause. But then I would be like, no, I can't pause. They're going to think I'm totally weird. And so the freedom that happens, and it doesn't mean you can't coach people. I coach people of various faith backgrounds still, right? It doesn't mean you can't coach people of various backgrounds, but there is a fullness, like an utter fullness, fulfillment, freedom. I almost want to say like is it more complete? Would you use that word, Erin? Where the freedom truly though, the word that really resonates with me is this freedom. How would you say other coaches describe it when they realize I can coach in this Catholic way? How do other coaches describe it?
Yeah, I think it's the word is like permission that comes to mind. Like I have permission, but also the other word is it's easy. Like you almost feel like you're cheating, right? Yeah. You're like, shouldn't this be harder? Oh no, we're inviting the king of the universe, the one who created this person in front of me, who I'm helping, their mind, their thoughts, their heart, like we're inviting him in. And so like, why am I even here? Like that's like the crazy thing. I do want to make a distinction here because I think a lot of people think that because we call it Catholic coaching, it's the same thing as spiritual direction. It's not. It's towards spiritual direction. I think certainly if you have a spiritual director, you can also have a coach, and coaching helps you get from, in the tangible sense, helps you move towards a goal. It's not a lifelong, it's like relationship like a spiritual director is. A spiritual director's goal is to bring unity between the person and God. Now, as a Catholic coach, that could be your ultimate goal, but that's not really where you are trained to help with somebody. My husband's going through a spiritual direction course right now. So there are some major distinctions here. We like to get people to tangible results as coaches.
Yes, absolutely. I like to help people start businesses and make money. And I like to help moms love their motherhood more. So let's talk about money, Erin Ingold. This is a topic that you and I have jumped on and had many conversations about before. I put some of our previous podcasts and the podcast that I did with you on your podcast, Erin, with your husband, Matt, down below in the show notes. So I invite people to go and check those out. But why do you think, Erin, why is there so much drama around money? Let's just start there. Why is there so much drama around money when it comes to coaching, especially Catholic coaching?
Okay, so I think there's a lot of things going on here. I think a lot of people have thoughts about money, morality thoughts.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
We lost you.
For those of you watching on YouTube, I have just literally, or for those of you listening on podcast, I just literally dropped my computer. Okay, we're good.
I like your outfit.
Oh, thank you. Isn't it cute?
I saw the whole thing, actually.
Resume. Go ahead. There's a lot going on here, you said.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I think there's a lot of morality, like thoughts around money. If I make money, therefore I'm in love with it. No, like these are all things that can be challenged on a mindset level. I remember experiencing so much freedom just by doing like download of all of my thoughts on money and just kind of going with the Holy Spirit and challenging each one of them. Like, is this true for everyone all the time? There's a lot of people who are very holy who have a lot of money, and they use it for the good. They use it to build up the church here. They give it, a lot of it away. They tithe it. And so there's a lot of thoughts that have not been challenged about the morality of money. I think that's the first step usually I would recommend to my coaches to clean up. Do an entire thought download. One of our steps that we teach people in our training is just called interrogating the thought. For anybody out here listening, you guys can learn how to do this. Just take Holy Spirit, the advocate, and just go through each one of those thoughts. Is this true 100% of the time? And answer that question. I think that's really helpful. I think another thing is people don't understand what coaching is. And they think it's advice giving or spiritual direction. And if you're just really good at giving advice, maybe you shouldn't get paid for it. I don't know. Like if that just like happens to be a natural thing. I think I have a lot of friends who are really good at giving advice, and it would be weird if I paid them for it. Right. Like, but coaching is not advice giving. At least the way that we train our coaches is not advice giving. It is a legit process that you fall back on, that you become unconsciously competent in our drills. And the process is a mindset coaching process that you can legitimately coach anyone on anything. You do not have to have experienced it ahead of time, because you know how to coach thoughts. And I think it's like, in fact, I think if you have experienced it and you're not completely through that problem yet, I think it's a lot harder for you to coach them on it, actually, because you haven't done your own work on it yet. So I would actually recommend that. Yeah. Like, okay. So sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place. Like my ADD's kicking
my
in.
favorite thing when Erin Ingold gets 500 places. It's my favorite thing. I'm going to just, what is coaching? Like, I think it's an important distinction that you just made. It's not spiritual direction. Spiritual direction is focused on, your relationship with God. What is God saying in your life? A Catholic coach can help with that as well, but there is a tangible goal. I think that's a really important aspect of coaching. I got asked this question on my Instagram DMs that I thought was really interesting. They literally said to me, why would somebody need a Catholic coach? And I kind of didn't understand the question. So I kind of pivoted it back to her. I was like, well, can you help me understand your question? Why would somebody not need one? And her answer was, because we have spiritual directors. But I think it's really, really interesting and important to clarify that a coach helps you look forward, and a coach can help you with really specific goals. But as per what you were just saying, I used to coach, quote unquote. I used to give a lot of advice. That's really what I was doing. I was offering people business advice, which I was calling coaching. And of course, there was definitely an element of coaching that I was doing.
You're a consultant. That's a consultant.
I was 100% consulting.
Yep.
And I was getting frustrated when I first launched the business arm. Like it wasn't called Wealth Without Guilt back then, but in effect, what became Wealth Without Guilt. I was doing a lot of consulting. I was like, this is what I see in you, and this is what I think you could do. This is what I see in you, and this is what I think you could do. And then I got really frustrated that people weren't doing it. And I am a full-on, if you cannot tell, commander style coach. You have developed this really great quiz that identifies the types of coaching that exist. I am a full-on commander, which means I love telling people what to do, but very frustrating for me when people don't do it. And I had to do a lot of work to understand, and you were really instrumental in this. It is the thoughts that stop people from doing things. And that's what you were really articulating just a moment ago before I dropped my computer, was that you can have all the actions. Like literally, I say this all the time. I can give you the playbook for how to make your first $10,000 in your business. Someone could listen to this exact podcast where we are going to talk about how a coach can make money. If they think to themselves, nobody will buy this. If they think to themselves, I am a fraud. If they think to themselves, lots of other people can do this better than me, what do you think is going to happen, Erin Ingold? They're not going to do it. If you're watching this live, I want to encourage you, if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, put in the comments, what is your biggest limiting belief around your ability to make money as a coach? Go ahead and put it in the chat and we can talk about that. Reflect on that if you're listening to this after the fact. So Erin, because I think it's an important question, what is coaching?
Yeah.
How does a coach help someone with their thoughts? Just briefly describe this so that people have an understanding.
Well, I think you don't just kind of call yourself a mindset coach and start looking at people's thoughts. I would always recommend go through some training, because there are different modalities out there that teach you how to do mindset coaching. I like ours because I created it and it's Catholic. So it's just kind of like, I think that's a good one. But I think if you are going to go out there and say, like, I'm a coach, I'm a mindset coach, get trained in it. It's just like, it helps you kind of offer it to people in integrity and not feel like an imposter. But what was your question? Sorry, Lisa, you were asking me, how do I
help people with their thoughts?
Okay. You got to learn first how to capture the thoughts, how to start to distinguish which ones are in the way and which ones are not. We have this thing called, what we call them, pretty thoughts. They look pretty benign, but they are just not leading to the best behavior and usually keeping the person stuck. And so you got to learn that first. And then really you want to bring them through what we have is called the reason cycle. And it really helps people jumpstart their God-given reason. We have not been taught how to critically think about things anymore. We have not been taught how to critically think about our thinking anymore. And the ability for us to reason actually is one of the main distinctions between us and the animals. We are made in God's image and likeness because we have a free will and we have ability to reason. And that's what that is. These are the functions and faculties of our soul. And so it actually really what we do with mindset coaching is we help people steward these God-given functions of our soul, our intellect and our will, our reason and our will. Which brings me back to when we were talking about the formation piece, the human formation. You were talking about spiritual direction, and spiritual direction really is in spiritual formation. Coaching is in human formation. There are three aspects that John Paul II talks about in human formation, and it is the development of the free will. So actually helping somebody use their free will better, affective maturity, which is emotional maturity, and then the development of the moral conscience, which is our thoughts. Does that sound like anything to you, Lisa?
Oh my gosh. And I want to encourage people, 1776 onward in the Catechism of the Catholic Church is a whole section of like reason, free will, all that kind of good stuff. So this is a really great segue into answering the question of what a coaching session looks like. In the certification program you have created at Metanoia Catholic, you teach different methods, modalities that one can do those three things that you just mentioned. Help people to use their reason, use their intellect, have their will be informed by their intellect in order to think thoughts that are going to be more helpful to them than harmful. Coaching sessions with me, often I am consulting. There's an element where I am consulting. So I'm saying something like, okay, the goal is $10,000 a month. Here's how I think we can do this. But then I'm like, now what are your thoughts about everything that I just said? And so I think what a coaching session can look like can be very different for people. But what would you say is like a fundamental thing that unites a coaching session and makes it different than consulting? What would you say if you had to answer that question?
From my own experience, I think exactly what you just said, Lisa, because you were like, okay, here's what you do, right? Which is more, I would put in the realm of intellectual formation. It's like, here's what you do. You get to choose it or not, whatever. Here's what I'm thinking you should probably try doing. And then when we come into it, we start to just sift through and discern the thoughts that are obstacles to the person taking that action. And that's what we do. I mean, that ultimately what we do is like, okay, so, hey, so-and-so, whoever I'm coaching, here's the plan. Do you want to do this plan? Yes, I want to do this plan. If this will bring me to success, wonderful, I will do this plan. Okay. Moving into coaching. What are all your thoughts about this? Well, do you think you'll do this plan? Do you actually think you'll do this plan? What emotions are coming up for you? Is it fear? Is it whatever? Now we start to work through, we start to capture those thoughts that are creating those emotions and start to walk them through the reason cycle. And like really just remind our clients that they have a free will and that it can be like actually affected by reason.
And it's like breathtaking and it's inspiring. And sometimes there are tears. I know I will come to you in our own sessions with all kinds of absolutely doomsday, terrible thoughts. I will cry. I will be like, no, there's no other thought than this one. There's none. Erin, there's none. Don't give me any other options. I'm very dramatic when I get coached.
Lisa loves words like never, always, very. So we giggle a little bit about it.
I am very cataclysmic. You are so expert. You are an expert at coaching people who are cataclysmic in their thoughts. But then by the end of the session, I have freedom. I often have optimism. I often have hope. And I definitely feel more free. I might not be in this place of like, oh my gosh, everything's amazing, but I get this sense of objectivity. I often describe it like it's like just a shift. So like maybe I was looking down, this is an extreme example, but down the barrel of a gun, so to speak. Like I'm just like, this is the worst, and it's always gonna be this way. And then, sometimes it's a radical like 180 I do when we coach, but sometimes it's just like over here. Like it's like a 10%, like a 10-degree, a 10-degree shift. But that 10-degree shift is way better than where I was before. Okay, so Erin, when we hear all this, when we talk about this and the transformation that is possible, and I'm seeing in the chat sort of inklings of this, why would we not just give away this freedom for free, Erin Ingold?
Ooh. Man, it's a good question, Lisa. Well, I look at Catholic coaching, and because I went through my own coach training too, and I also was a hairstylist a long time ago. I look at it as a trade. It's a discipline that you learn. It's a discipline that you spend time and energy learning. We give a lot of stuff away for free. Actually, we have our Catholic coaching podcast. We give so much of what we teach, even in our academy, in our podcast. And we even give our journal away for free as a digital copy. So there are elements of freedom there, like things that we've given away for free. But just like any other trade, that you learn a new discipline, a new skill that you can legitimately apply to any job, any vocation, anything. Like even if you're just a mom and you want to learn how to speak to your kids and I don't know, get reason going in your kids, like this is a meta skill that can be applied to anything. And so just like any other trade school, that's kind of where I put it in that category. Like we're teaching you this process. We're not teaching you wisdom because we can't. That's up to the Lord who he gives wisdom to. We're teaching you an actual process called the reason cycle and how to do that competently and how to coach anyone on any thought, pretty much.
It's interesting. Today, during homeschooling, one of my kids asked me, Mommy, what do you do again? You're a coach? And I was like, yeah, I'm a coach. And they said, is coaching hard? And it was interesting because my initial answer was, oh no, I find it actually really easy. But then I backtracked and I said, but I'll tell you, the reason why I think it's easy now is because I have put in 10,000 hours and I continue to learn how to improve as a coach. And it's really funny. I share with my community, Wealth Without Guilt. I coach Catholic moms in business. If you go back, because I have all of the recordings from all of my coaching calls, and it's so like, oh, I'm always embarrassed talking about this. Like my original coaching calls when I started the community, oh my gosh, it was like 60 minutes on one person. Like, so like group coaching, and the idea is everyone's learning by getting coached, but I couldn't get to the heart of a thought, or I spent a lot of time kind of exploring what somebody was really thinking, and it would be 60 minutes. Now I can effectively get 3 to 4, even 5 people within like a 60 to 90-minute period. That's a lot of leverage. That's high leverage. And so I kind of go back answering this question, why charge for coaching? I go back to similar to what my Instagram follower kind of messaged me. Well, why not charge for coaching? If this is a skill, if this is something that we invest time in, why not charge for it? If it is a skill that truly can help people, in this very practical, very specific way.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting too about this is I've always equated money with value. So like if you're creating value that people want, they will pay money for that. This is how a capitalist society works, right? Like, oh, I see this as valuable, and so therefore. And I always think of, okay, so I equate coaching, right? Like let's take an Olympian coach, a physical coach. And an Olympian comes and they hire a coach and they go, I need to, I don't know, throw my shot put this much further. Can you help me do that? And they go, yes, I can help you do that. It's a tangible goal. We will know how to measure, how to get there. And then the coach goes, okay, so this is in the way, this is in the way, this is the way. We need to strengthen these muscles, so on and so forth. So we can apply that to mindset. Ultimately, we were always trying to work towards a goal, a tangible goal. But what we're doing is we're also helping our clients strengthen the faculties, their functions, their mindset muscles, so that they can apply this on a daily basis. And so I think that's the most valuable thing, because when all is said and done, I want my mind. I want to invest in my mind more, because that is the thing that actually, I mean, I just think it's the most valuable thing. Like, think about your perspective, your attitude throughout life. Like, if you have a crummy attitude, you take everything in a crummy way. And like, that is not freedom. But if you know how to actually choose a good attitude and actually expand your perspective on life, man, people can't take that from you. Like, that is like, I think that's the most valuable thing.
I could say so much about this, Erin, because I can see the impact of my life as a result of getting coached, what it was like before and what it was like after. I have a very sort of famous story now. There's a couple stories that I tell over and over and over again. And one story that I love to tell my audience is how working with you, in the 3 to 4 month period that you and I were working together for the very first time, I created the same amount of revenue that I had made in 12 months, but in 3 to 4. And I remember exactly the thought that helped me. I can remember really specific conversations that caused this massive shift in my confidence and my ability, in my magnanimity, and all the things. Making money is fun and easy. That was a huge one. And this visual of an army, kind of like linking arms and like leading a brigade, so to speak, were huge influences. And I show it, like I have a graphic where it's like, here's what I made in 12 months on a little graph, and here's what I made the exact same amount, but in a quarter of that period. Yeah. And I just sort of think like, these are very, these are the things I wish everyone knew about coaching.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of it, of course, why not charge? Well, I have a family to support. You have a family to support. We have causes that you and I want to support. Yeah. Being able to charge for this as a service, as a business, allows us to contribute and create this Catholic economy that I know you and I and so many of my listeners are so passionate about. When you pay a coach, you are not just paying a person. You are investing in the Catholic economy. You are making a bold claim, a bold statement with how you spend your money, and that you want to support causes like this. So I just think like, this is just, I'm so passionate about helping people make money in this area. And I know you are too, Erin. Erin, when are people ready to charge? So if a coach is listening to this, potential coach is listening to this, and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm bought in. I want to contribute to the Catholic economy. I want to make money for my family. When does someone feel ready to charge?
So, I'm going to look at this a couple different angles too, because like there is a thought, I'm not ready. And I've walked so many coaches through training, through certification. They still have this thought, I'm not ready. I'm like, you are. I mean, I don't know how many times I need to say that to you, but you are ready. And so there could be a mindset there. But let's just say you're a brand new coach and you're like, yeah, I'm just like calling myself a coach. The coaching industry is pretty much, it's kind of unregulated. So you can just call yourself a coach. I would say, in full transparency and honesty, if you know you can help somebody solve a problem quickly and efficiently and not waste their time and money, like in all honesty, now we are not lying to ourselves here. In all honesty, I think you can charge. And I always recommend this to my new coaches. Make it a heck yes. A heck yes. That doesn't mean it's really low, because when it's really low, when the price is really low, people don't show up. Your clients do not show up. They don't show up to the actual coaching call. A lot of times people just don't show up. But also they don't show up for themselves in between sessions either, because they haven't put any skin in the game. They haven't invested. They haven't, it's not painful enough for them to not show up. So it's got to be kind of like a good little balance there. Right out of the gate, I say this to people. I was very transparent and open. I said this to my clients, look, I haven't been trained somewhere, but I know I can help you. And I was very honest with the areas that I could help them with and what I couldn't help them with right out of the gate. I did that on the consult calls. And then I gave them the freedom to work with me or not. And really that's, and I recommend that to all my new coaches. I'm like, transparency is the best way. Honestly, like don't pretend to be something like in a space that you're not.
One thing that you've really helped me with, and I have to help my clients with all the time, is remembering that everyone has responsibility and freedom. So your customers have responsibility and freedom over their own decisions. So when you come to them and say, hey, I'm not trained yet, or I'm in the process of getting certified, their reaction is on them. Like you have no, like you cannot control. We can never put in the result line somebody else's reaction. Like just, and it's so helpful to remember that we can't make anybody buy anything. However, you can control how you feel. You can control the level of excitement or enthusiasm that you show up with to your calls. And you can sure as heck control the thoughts that you're bringing into a situation. I was just coaching somebody on a podcast. I was listening to the podcast they recorded, and I was explaining to the client, I can hear a shift. I can hear a really significant shift when you go to talking about this, then you go to talk about this, and this is involving selling, like that part. I can hear the shift. And I was literally like, tell me the thoughts that you were thinking right when you made the shift. And this is like such an important piece when it comes to making money as a coach. What are you thinking about yourself, like in the act of selling and in the act of feeling confident about your abilities, right? I mean, we see this all the time. I know people are going to ask, so we got to address it. What do we charge for coaching?
Okay. So here's another point I want to make. If you get trained somewhere and you have a process and you are unconsciously competent or at least consciously competent in that process, I think you should train upwards to $75 to $100 an hour as a new coach. As a new coach, I think that's fair. That's what I was recommended to as a new coach, in a similar form of training that I went through. That I think another thing that I always think about when I'm coaching my coaches on this, I'm always like, I always ask them, I'm like, what would you pay? Like, what would be enough for you to show up and do the work in between, but also not exorbitant? Because here's where I think people kind of get tripped up. They think if I charge less, that means something about my self-worth or something like that. There's like a lot of that connection here. And what I'm always trying to do is make associations between, no, people pay money for perceived value. And I'm not saying lie to them, not saying like make up the value and not give it to them, but like if you actually explain the value that they will receive from working with you, they will pay for that. It means nothing about your self-worth. When you walk away and people go, no, ask yourself the question, okay, like, how could I have explained this better? Because this is clearly a good match, right? If it is a good match, it might not be a good match, right? You might be offering, I don't know, cold water to an Eskimo, offering ice to the Eskimo. They already have it. They don't need it, right? So you got to ask yourself that too. Like, is this a good match? Yeah.
I think I want to ask you, like, where do you find you get tripped up a little bit? Like, what are some thoughts that are not helpful to you as a coach sometimes, Erin? I'm curious in regards to making money and charging for your services. What are you willing to share with us today, Erin?
Sure. When we were coming to the price of our coach training, I had a lot of drama about it.
I remember your drama because I was in the room when I suggested the first price of certification. I remember.
Like, are you kidding me? But you know what actually started to help me with that? It's pretty close to what I paid to go to hair school to learn that trade. So that helped. What we landed on, it helped me. Oh, this is a trade that people can take with them for the rest of their lives. They never lose it. They don't even really need any, hair cutting scissors. They don't need like products alongside of it. It's just like it's a trade that's in their mind, right? And so that was helpful for me. I did a lot of work on it. So like I would say that I think it wasn't the thought people won't pay for this. I did think people would, but I wanted to make sure, like I said, I wanted to make sure that we were giving that amount of value. That's a big piece for me. I'm like, if I'm not giving this amount of value, who am I to charge this? And that was a thought, really. But now looking at it, I'm like, yes, this is enough value. Because here's the thing, we had not completed the certification. You guys were all our beta group, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, where is this going to end? This was our very first group. And I was like, I don't know, maybe they'll walk away and like have no new knowledge in their head and no new skills. I have no idea. But the effect that I saw, everybody's coaching, it completely up leveled their coaching. And the amount of competency and confidence that I saw come through this, I was like, yes, we can charge that. And so I think I needed to see the value.
There are people, I've made many friends. One of the wonderful benefits of being a part of your certification and your coach community is you get access to some pretty stellar people. Like, think about the kinds of people who sign up to be certified as mindset coaches. Like, these are intelligent, really cool people. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, and I've been connected with people from all over the world, lots of coaches in Canada. We have little Canadian meetups now that I'm here. Coaches all over the United States and beyond. I have no doubt you're going to be in every single continent, Catholic coaches, and I know it's a big passion of yours to have a Catholic coach in every single parish, to have a certified Catholic coach in every parish across the United States. It's phenomenal to do life with these people on the internet. Like, it's phenomenal. Like, there's prayer requests, like when your mom was ill, when my baby died, like just the amount of just connection and support and is truly valuable. Like, that's such to be in this community of intelligent, well-read mindset coaches who can actually peer coach you via a Slack channel or even off Slack channel and support you is such a value. But what I wanted to highlight was there's a couple people I can think of who were in my cohort. I won't name them, but I remember they would show up to the calls and we would go into these exercises, these drills that you have us go in to learn these concepts. And they would be like chattering their teeth. They would be like, their body language was all like kind of slumped. And we would get off the call with you into our little breakout rooms and be like, does anyone know what they're doing? There was there was definitely lots of people, myself included, who felt very ill-equipped. And what's fascinating is now I see many of these people. Some of them are now employed by you as resident coaches with such confidence, with such competency. And this is where I think certification and training in general fast tracks, so to speak. Like, there are a lot of ways that you can learn all of this on your own. I became a coach in the beginning without any formal experience, but I was a absolute self-help and personal development. Like, I was very, very addicted to this kind of content. I've been through therapy myself. So I did feel like I had enough competency and enough experience that I could draw on from all of my own resources and my own therapy. But like, gosh, it fast tracks your process, your competency process. So if you have that thought in your head, if you're listening to this and you're like, I just don't know if I can be a competent coach, just the material and the exercise. I think the value for me is, again, you can go and learn different modalities. You can listen to different trainings on how you can deliver a coaching session. But when you have to actually do it with a live human being in front of you, and you're afraid while you're doing it, and then you're getting feedback from like Matt or Erin who are watching you do it, that's a whole other level of equipment. And that, like, I don't really get nervous anymore when I coach, but like, I used to get really nervous. But that competency that comes from doing it over and over again and feeling the fear as well, really
Yep.
feeling that fear and doing it anyways is very apparent. Okay, so Erin, tell us, what is Metanoia Catholic's certification all about? How can people learn more about it? And maybe tell me, like, what are you most excited about in this certification experience?
Okay, let me tell you about the certification first, and then I'll tell you what excites me. So I am the main drill instructor there. I create the drills, I teach the drill instructors, and I'm the one who does that. And one of my favorite, actually, I'll go into one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things to see, it's so funny because one of the things that you do at the end is you do a video. You coach somebody who is not a coach, like who has no idea what this stuff is. You coach somebody, you take them through it, and I'm watching all these videos, and they're 20 minutes, and we have like standards that they have to hit. And as I'm listening to them, I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I'm just so excited. I'm like, they were not this way before. They were not even this way halfway through the training. They are actually legit coaches. I would go get coached by them. Like, I want them to coach me. Like, these are the thoughts that I have. So that's super exciting to see that the process works of drilling, like exactly what you're saying, like that discomfort that you feel. I mean, we're all uncomfortable in it. And so there is that camaraderie that happens. So that I think that it works, the process works, but B, you see these people just do what they love in freedom and efficiency. They are efficient at it. And I think that is just so exciting for me. And they become transformed in the process. That is my favorite thing. So one of the big things that we teach in our coach training is you have to go first. You cannot give what you haven't first received. And so a lot of coaches don't know this, but the transformation is primarily on them. Like, they are transformed, not even just into a competent coach, but their interior life is transformed.
Oh, yeah.
So the coach training or the coach certification is 6 months long. And it actually, you know what? I can give you the brochure and you can post it here. I think that would be helpful. We have a niche workshop coming up. This would be super fun for you guys to check out. This is open to anyone. If you are a new coach and you want to kind of like figure out, okay, what's this all about, this Catholic coaching, come join us in our niche workshop. That's on May 9th, and we can give you more information on that. But most of the information on the coach certification is in the brochure. And we also have a webinar that we've already recorded. And so you can check all of that stuff out.
And that link is just right below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you can see it in the description. And if you're listening to this on podcast form, then go to the show notes and read all about certification. One of the things that we kind of gloss over quickly, but I really want to encourage people to listen to just in our remaining few minutes here, is the transformation you go through yourself. There's a few people in your community who have shared very publicly things like their marriages took a massive, 360 transformation because they had the ability to moderate their thoughts, or not even moderate the reaction, because they were able to see their thoughts.
Yes.
In my own marriage, that is 100% the case. In my business, that has been in the case. In my relationship with my friends, with my family members, like, and even in the way that I mother. It's funny. On Monday nights, I coach women who are seeking life coaching as Catholic moms. And one of the moms asked me, how does your ability to coach show up with your kids? Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating because what I do a lot with my kids is I'm constantly asking them to examine the thought. Mm. So for some of them, so for example, with my really small kids, it's like, I can see you're really angry. Something is you're really feeling angry. What are you thinking about? What's happening in your head that's making you so angry? And so with a small child, they can just be like, he took my toy, blah, blah, blah. It's not fair. So that's easy. Your thoughts are very transparent. But what I find really interesting with my older children is I'll go more to, like, for example, a child came to me and was like, I just don't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was this like, well, what is it? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Is it like, your back, like, where are you feeling it in your body?
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a coaching session of like, well, what's happening when you start to like think about that, something about something that was happening later that evening, right? Like, and I just ask more and more questions about like, like, is there any other way we might be able to think about that situation that's happening? Like, could the opposite of it be true? So I go right into my training with my teenage children.
100%. Yeah.
It has been so efficacious, like just the connection. I think obviously children really want to feel seen and heard, and your ability to use coach training with your family can pay a lot of dividends over time. Erin, I could honestly talk to you all day. I love talking to you, I do. But if anyone felt doubt, we've got this one great comment here from Francely, that though it may be something I like and enjoy, it's not God's will for me. My vocation as a mother and wife will suffer in pursuing coaching. Or a thought like this one, I want all women to have access to coaching, so my prices can't be too high. For anyone who might be thinking it's just not possible to make significant livelihood as a coach, what would you say to them?
I say, this is interesting. I say I actually built my coaching program on nap time. In the beginning, and I want to say this too about Lisa and I. We are not unicorns. We have learned how to balance our lives. Our coach training is an executive coach training. It only takes about 2 hours a week. And we did that on purpose so people can have full-time jobs, full-time vocations, and go through this. We don't want your vocation to suffer at all. But we aren't unicorns. We just kept failing and learning and failing and learning and failing and learning and just kept getting back up and saying, I really love doing this. And so maybe just explore that desire to look deeper into it and don't be afraid of it. Ask the Lord where it's coming from. Just sit with it. No need to make any decisions right now, but sit with that desire. If this is kind of bringing something up in you, I think that would be super helpful for you. So the limiting beliefs, I want you guys also to examine what your desires mean, and why God might be allowing them. Certainly our desires need to be refined always because we are fallen. And he's placed them there for a reason. Get a little curious about them. And bring him into it. We don't have to leave him behind. In fact, I highly recommend you don't.
highly recommend you don't. Registration for the Metanoia Catholic coaching certification begins or closes on March 17th. Is that right? Did I get that date right? March 17th. Yes. The spring cohort, it's going to close on March 17th. And for anyone listening who might be kind of like on the fence, maybe you're listening to this, at time of recording, or maybe you're listening to this real close to having to make that decision to sign up or not. I want to sweeten the pot just a little bit for you. So I have gone through Metanoia Catholic's material, and I am an experienced business coach. I have made multi-six figures in my interior design business as well as in my coaching business. And so if you join certification, if you join us in this transformation and become a Catholic coach, you're going to get a really fun gift by using my link, which is my coach startup package. So what I am offering for people who sign up via my link is a coaching call with me to dial in your value proposition. So this is like kind of going, enhancing what you're going to learn from Erin on her niche workshop and putting it into really distinct words. I help Catholic moms make their first $10,000 in business, as an example. I'm also going to help you price and create a marketing launch strategy. So we're going to jump on a call where we're going to just figure out, okay, your first offering is going to be $497, and here's how we're going to launch it. And then the part that I'm the most excited about, Erin, are you ready? Are you ready? Erin Ingold.
I'm ready.
I'm going to build you a 3-page website. Tech is the challenge that every single person, I mean that universally, every single person who comes to me in Wealth Without Guilt has expressed an issue with tech. So I want to just eliminate that for you completely. I want to create for you a 3-page website that will allow you to tell people about who you are, the offer that you have that I'm going to help you create, and then literally have the page on the website that says, enter your credit card. Here we go. So that is the bonus. There will be a limited number of these that I can offer, obviously, because this is a big bonus. But if you join via my link that you can find right below this video or in the show notes, you're going to get this package that is easily a $2,500 value. And so that's my little gift to you. The decision when you make the decision to become a Catholic coach. So if anyone has questions about this experience, if you're not sure, if you're on the fence, just reach out to Erin or myself. We are both so happy to talk about this with you. We clearly are so passionate about coaching, about coaches making money. I'm very passionate about women, about moms making money. I love the idea of moms being able to stay home with their children and coach around nap time, like Erin said. Will this be easy? It may not be. Will this be a piece of cake in the beginning? Probably not, because there's probably a lot of discomfort that we need to get you a little bit more comfortable feeling. But Erin and I make a very powerful combination, and Matt. So the combination of all of our strengths combined, just trust that if this is something that you feel like the Lord is calling you into, that trust that that is an accident, and that there are many ways that you can get support and encouragement along the way. Erin, any final words before we say goodbye?
No, I just highly recommend you do that with Lisa. She's awesome at what she does. And so, and if you're a brand new coach, please, like, oh my gosh, she's building you a website. Like, do that. Just like, do it.
We should all do that. Erin Ingold, it is always a pleasure. I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your friendship. I miss giving you hugs like all the time and seeing you in your little yellow golf cart wave by my house, but I wave from afar, from the great white north. My home and native land. All right, Erin, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.